everybody. So it's finally cooled down enough out here in the shop that I'm comfortable enough to be out here welding on my firewall. I've got to make some plates to fill some holes that we're no longer going to be using. Then after we do that, we're going to go ahead, sand everything down, maybe even add a little bit of Bondo body filler just in some low spots, get everything looking real nice so that when we paint it, it looks dead sexy. So let's go ahead and get started on that right now. Before I get started, I'm going to take it out front and give it a nice little bath. It's been sitting outside for a little while now and it needs it. So let's get started on that, and then I'll bring it back inside and I'll show you guys what it's all about. Okay, so here she is, all cleaned up. This is my 1992 BMW 325 IS. As you can see, not so stock. Got wide body, got aftermarket wheels, got side skirts, we got hood vents, all the goodies. This is all stuff I've made myself. This is like literally everything on this vehicle has been made by me. The complete roll cage. That's really what we do here at Visionary Performance is roll cage fabrication, chassis fabrication, engine fabrication, those sort of things. This is the inside of her. Not much to it. Obviously a lot of things I want to do. So the way she sits right now, I mean, as cool as she does look, she's in for a big makeover. We're gonna do a complete new heart power plant. We're gonna do a 5.3 LM7. It's gonna be a truck block, cast iron block. We're throwing some boost at it, an on-3 performance 76mm turbo. Basically, we're gonna get it all dialed in and make it some actual power now, because before it just looked really fast, and now it's gonna play the part too. So that's what we're gonna do. And as far as the wide body that's on right now, all of this stuff is gonna be gone. Obviously the front fenders are off right now because I'm doing some modification work up here, but everything in the as far as the wide body is concerned, we're talking the fender flares, front rear, front lip, even this little under lip right here, little side skirt lip, that might be coming off. I might figure a way to keep these on for the next wide body that I'm doing, but the next thing that's going to be the next stage of this build is going to be what's called the Tornado E36 wide body kit, made from a company named Alchemical Auto Works, and it's a company I've decided to partner up with. They're really cool guys. They've basically designed one of the coolest looking wide body kits for the BMW that I have seen to date. So that's going to be the new look for this car. Coming real soon here, so I'm just waiting for those to get shipped here from Sweden. I will be one of the only authorized dealers in the United States for Alchemical Auto Works wide body kits. So if you guys are looking to get one for your car, say maybe you have an E36 coupe, they're also coming out with E36 sedan ones. They have a bunch of Pandem rep kits. They have E46, they have CSL kits, they have everything you could possibly think of for BMW wide body kits. Well, maybe not everything, but if they haven't got it yet, they're definitely on their way to making it. So that's why I like those guys. And so I'm gonna partner up with them. We're gonna do a lot of big things here coming real soon. All right, now here you can see we've got some holes. Like this one, I believe it was my water temperature sensor that I was running through this hole in the firewall. Hey Capone, what's up buddy? That's Shop Kitty Capone. These two actually right here were my mistake. I was actually drilling out a bracket that sits here where the battery connection terminal sits, and because my spot weld cutter bits were too dull, I just decided to go ahead and drill these ones out. So some of them got a little bit too deep there, but the ones that didn't get deep enough, those ones just pulled right through. So those we got to fill some holes. These we're just gonna tack just to kind of smooth them out, sand them down. And then we got, you know, some like this one right here. We're gonna go ahead and just, you know, get to town making some plates that can fill that. These I want to leave as holes because those actually serve a purpose. These actually are the drains for this compartment. Water likes to get trapped down in here, especially when you wash the car. It falls right through these vents right here, and it will get in here, and you don't want it to get stuck in there. You'd rather have it drain out. So we're gonna leave those ones as holes. Fill that one, obviously. That was my oil pressure sensor line. All right, so we got a brass spoon here. Basically what we're gonna use this for is so that we can have a surface to weld to on the back of the firewall. When I'm welding, that way I can fill in the gap and not have it just kind of falling through the firewall, so to speak. My buddy Jimmy here is gonna help me hold the brass spoon, and it's a lot easier to do when you have two people, because obviously you can't be on both sides of the firewall at once. So we're gonna go ahead and get started on that right now. Okay, so to make this a little easier on myself, I'm going to use a welding magnet to basically hold the firewall plugs to the firewall while I am on the other side welding them. So we still got some some seam seal, so we have to remove that. So we'll go ahead and get the aggressive twisty wire wheel in there, remove the seam seal. We also have a little bit of seam seal in here. We want to get that out. I do want to get underneath my fuse box and all that stuff, so I might look into seeing how difficult it's going to be for me to pull that out. So if it's too difficult to pull that out, I might just leave it there, mask it off, and paint around it, which is kind of not my style. But in this case, if it's going to be too much of a headache to do it, I'm just going to leave it there. All right, so I've located 4 little 8mm bolts that hold the fuse box into the firewall. All we really need to do is remove those, then we'll have enough play in the harness to at least move the fuse box up and down a little bit so that we can go ahead and get the fuse box out of our way so we can paint behind that or clean it or whatever we got to do behind there. And these are the 8mm I'm talking about. Here's where you'll see the little 8mm. There's one right there, one right there, and then 2 up there. So we'll go ahead and get started and pulling those out right now. I was wrong. They're 7mm. I should have known it's a BMW. Okay, now that we've got the 4 little screws out of there, let's go see. We can see if we can kind of wiggle this up and out of the way a little bit at least. Yes, see? So we got plenty of space here now. Now I can get to any seam seal I need to get to. I can even suspend this if I need when I want to go paint it. So that's what we wanted to do with that. So that's cool. It wasn't too much of a headache at all. Just 4 little screws and we're able to pop that out of there. Now what's going inside this, you ask? It's the heart of a lion. Not this little one. But turn around, come on over this way, and see what heart I'm talking about. Told you we were throwing an LS base block with some boost at it. So this is what we got for the BMW. Like I said, on 3 76mm turbo, full custom turbo kit, all done by myself. This is all stuff we build in-house. Teardrop dumps out the hood. This will actually be facing downwards. It's kind of just got it loose for clocking purposes right now. This particular kit is a mix of stainless 304 and aluminized steel because I didn't know that Vibrant had the option of aluminized steel or stainless. I thought they only sold stainless, so I thought I was buying stainless. Came to find out about aluminized steel, was not happy about that. Did not want to spend the extra $130 for the piece of stainless at the time, so I just went ahead and made what I had. We got basically, like I said, an LM7 truck block. It's a cast iron block. That is not the oil pan that we're going to be using on it. I have an oil pan sitting over there in the parts pile. We have a T56 bell housing, a Collins adapter, and then a CD09 transmission. Attached to the CD09 transmission, it's not attached right now, but we do have a pretty sweet little GK Tech shifter relocator that brings the shifter about 5.5, 6 inches farther forward than where it sits stock on a CD09 350Z transmission. So this is far from done. It's kind of just dressed up right now. I do plan on taking everything back apart. I'm going to take the stock oil pan off and put the nice Speedway Motors one on. I'm going to take the transmission, bell housing, all that stuff off because I actually have a full ACT clutch setup that's going to be going in there as well. And this is a custom LS swap clutch setup that ACT actually makes. You can see, but they got different length fingers on the clutch. So that's a custom setup from ACT. It says right there, custom. So that's going on the car. We've also got the pressure plate, flywheel, all that good stuff. We got the ACT Pro Light flywheel. It's going to be going on there. So that's going to make a nice little bit of vroom vroom difference. Come on over this way. We got our, like I said, there's a parts pile for the LS right here. Not just my LS, there's a couple different LSs we're building actually right now. Here we have our Speedway Motors swap oil pan. So this is a oil pan for doing LS swaps. So this is a 7-quart oil pan. thanks to the guys over at Speedway. I wanted to make sure that I did go ahead and keep the stock position of the oil filter, because I really like that. I like having to have a stock location there because it fit good when I mocked it up with the stock oil pan, so I know that it's a good position. And the best thing of all is that you have your oil drain plug right here and your oil filter right here. Now, how often are your oil filter and your oil drain plug right next to each other? That makes very simple ease of oil changes. Basically, you know, you don't have to worry about having two separate oil pans under your car because you got one catching the oil filter oil and then one catching the oil drain plug oil. That's just not necessary with this setup. Another sweet thing about this oil pan, look inside of it here, we got a 4-way baffle system. So this basically allows us to hit those high G turns. You know, we're gonna do some road racing with this car, maybe even get a little sideways with it here and there. We haven't determined yet what we wanna do fully with it. So these little baffles down here, what these do is these allow for your oil to not completely slosh out of the center area here, basically allowing your oil pickup tube to always have an oil supply, not starving it at all. And that's a very bad thing. Obviously, I'm sure a lot of you road racers know that when you are going around some heavy G turns, we have issues, especially in the BMWs, stock motors, with issues with you know, oil starvation as we hit heavy G turns. So that's something we're not really gonna have to worry about anymore. And it's a super affordable oil pan. This oil pan, I think I paid, was it like 220 bucks for it or something like that? I mean, it's stupid cheap. You almost can't find a stock oil pan for that cheap. So it just made sense to go ahead and get it. This I knew the exact measurements of. So like, I mean, I know the exact measurements of a you know, an LS2 or a Corvette or F-body oil pan. But in that case, I would have had to modify my subframe. I would have had to notch into it so that it can basically so that it can fit in there, and that's not something I was trying to do. I didn't want to have to notch into my subframe. If I could find an oil pan that would fit, I'd rather do it that way and cheaply, and this is a perfect option for me. So that's what we're going to go ahead and do. So keep an eye on us, like us, follow us, subscribe, check out our other content on Instagram, Facebook. We also just started a Twitter account, so check that out. It's Visionary Performance, Visionary_Performance for Instagram, and again, just Visionary Performance for Facebook. Check us out, like, follow, subscribe. We really appreciate it, and we're just getting started here, so I hope you guys like what we got in store for you. There's gonna be a lot of cool things to come, so stay tuned.